What's up guys, Nor here, and welcome to a special Book of Showtime chapter. This is chapter 28, and I'm happy to say that Book of Showtime turns 1 today, and I just want to off the bat thank all of you guys for your support this past year. Book of Showtime is probably the most fun and motivated I've been in years as a so-so content creator, and while I've been very sick since basically November of last year, it's been rough. I haven't been able to put out as many chapters as I would have liked, but I'm still very happy with where this channel is. I was bedridden the last 3 weeks and I took a break from social media, and even though I'm as healthy as I've been this whole year, I'm still taking it easy and slow in terms of production. And I didn't even realize we were getting this close to Book of Showtime's birthday. I was like, oh man, August is next week. And then it's like, I had to go back and check the YouTube studio, and I was like, okay, when did the first Book of Showtime chapter come out? Oh, August 1st, that's in a few days. Interesting. So I knew I had to whip up something special on short notice, and thank you guys for helping me put this video together on literally not even 48 hours ago from when this goes live. But I really hope you enjoy it. Book of Showtime is one of many projects in the series I've attempted over the last 8 years, and while I've been lollygagging a lot this year, which I can't really help being sick, this is something I'm really happy with, and I hope you guys are digging it too. I want this to be something I do for a long time. I got a few chapters drafted up, and I plan to have them out in the next 2 weeks. And once again, I just want to thank everyone for your support, for your retweets, and yes, I'm gonna keep calling them tweets. I don't care who changes the app, what's it called. I'm going to be calling it Twitter and tweets. Thank you for your views and your suggestions, especially from my brother Weaver and my friend Ben. Speaking of Ben, I was going to talk about this in sub-chapter 5, but here seems appropriate. I want to share with you that back in June, I reached my personal goal of getting to 200 pounds. And in fact, I'm actually under 200 pounds now. And I really want to thank everybody for the well wishes and all the motivations. This was an awesome feeling. This is something that I really wanted to do. You know, I gained a lot of weight during lockdown. My weight was always pretty stagnant. For most of my life, I was sitting around 230. But after lockdown, I was close to 250, even over 250 at some point. And even when I started going back to work, I shed a little bit of that weight, but I still wasn't working as much as I used to, so I still had all that extra weight. But then I started going to the gym in March of last year, and I initially only went 3 times a week, but then my brother Nicholas, he moved, and then in November I got COVID. I was sick the rest of the year. I've been historically sick this year, by the way, like I've said many times before, on both fronts. But despite all of that, I was able to get to 200 pounds, and the grind is not going to stop. I'm going to continue to work out when I can to maintain it. And not to sound too cliche, and I'm one of the laziest, most unmotivated people ever. So if I can do it, you can do it too. I want to also thank FTI, and namely Matt Ryder, for making this sweet ATWE shirt. ATWE is a Twitch series that one of my best friends in the world, Ben, started back in 2015. And when they revealed this shirt, I knew I had to pick it up ASAP. And it is just really cool to wear. I feel legit empowered wearing that shirt. You know, it feels like a superhero outfit. And I love Ben to death. ATWE is some of the most fun I've ever had on Twitch. So shout out to Ben, shout out to Matt, shout out to FTI. This was something really cool to have. So a couple of days ago, I asked across social media to contribute fun, short questions for the anniversary of Book of Showtime, and here they are. My friend Sithy says, top 2 RPG games between 360 to now's era. So from 360's era to now, that's over 15 years of RPG games, and funny enough, my 2 picks, one came out 3 years ago, and the other I played as a remaster, both within the last 3 years. My absolute #1 pick is Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, or Like a Dragon Reborn, depending on where you live. Ask anyone who knows me, I can't stand the turn-based JRPGs. Pokemon, old Final Fantasies, I can't stand them, but Yakuza 7, man, it did literally everything right. The class system, or the job system rather, is great. The mini-games are fun as usual. You know, Yakuza always has a lot of rich content, and the combat changing to that. You know, when they first announced that Yakuza was moving to this format, I was like, what? That makes no sense. How do you go from a beat 'em up to a JRPG? But then I saw the gameplay and I was like, you know, I don't know. I'm not really all too enthralled with that. I see it looks interesting because it's different. It's not just people lined up taking turns. It's people are moving around using the environment, and I think that's very new. And I can't think of any other JRPGs that have done that, but that was really cool to me. And then when I got my hands on the game, I was like, you know what, if I don't like the combat, I'll just maybe switch it to easy and then just play through the story like that, because Yakuza stories are always fantastic. But the gameplay was awesome, you know, and then obviously everything around the game was awesome. The sub-stories are engaging, and the story, this is probably one of the best stories in the series since Kiwami 2, or I guess Yakuza 2. One element of JRPGs I hate is usually at some point you'll have to stop and grind, and even the grinding in Like a Dragon is well executed. I need to go back and 100% this game. As for the remaster, it's Mass Effect 2 from the Legendary Edition, and when I got the Legendary Edition, you know, I'd already played Mass Effect 3 years ago, but I've never taken a character through the full trilogy. I sort of rushed through Mass Effect 1 because I really wanted to play 2 so badly, and man, it was worth it. Mass Effect 2 was such a great game. You know, building up your ship and your squad mates, doing the loyalty missions, that iconic suicide mission, all the gameplay. It was all great. All the squad mates, minus Jacob, sorry Jacob, they were really cool. Even Miranda, who at the start of the game, I hated Miranda. I'm like, oh, she's so stuck up. And then eventually she warmed up to me as the story progressed and you learn more about her. This game was so good, I just didn't even want to play Mass Effect 3 anymore, because if you played Mass Effect 3, you know how the game ends. Like, man, I gotta go through this great game just to have it end so, you know, so flat. So Artie the Gamer says, tell us about the Book of Showtime, the inspiration, the thought process behind it, and any kind of interesting tidbit you might have that we wouldn't know. By the way, if you guys get anything on the Fortnite shop, you support a creator code Artie the Gamer 24 and support an awesome streamer. So Book of Showtime, the nucleus of the idea actually started way back in 2020 when I was a Twitch streamer. During this event I would do every summer from June to August called Summer Gauntlet. Every Saturday I would do a top 7 based off community sessions, and even though I quit streaming, I liked the idea of doing something like this, and last year I finally just decided to put it all together, and the rest is history. As for my inspirations, well, it's funny you ask, Artie, because my brother Nick asked, why did you start making things? Well, I like to consider myself a comedian, and some of my inspirations are Eddie Murphy, who is my absolute idol. I love his 2 stand-ups, and long story short, without him, there's no me doing any of this. Ray William Johnson, I don't know if you guys remember him. He was running YouTube for a while. I remember staying up late to watch Equals 3 as soon as it went live. He was so funny, and I liked his format, and I wanted to be, that made me want to do YouTube stuff, you know? And other comedians that I loved were, you know, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle. Those guys are awesome. And while I don't condone his actions, I really do love Louis C.K.'s stand-up. So, you know, those are guys that I grew up on that kind of made me want to be a comedian. Oh, and I can't forget Maximilian. He is awesome. He's a workhorse. Everybody respects him, you know, and I wanted to be like him growing up. He made me want to do Twitch, whereas Ray William Johnson made me want to do YouTube. Maximilian made me want to be a Twitch streamer. And all in all, I really just like being a showman and an entertainer, and I like indulging my friends when I can, even if I have to play some mid games or watch boring movies or whatever stuff. Just doing other things to make other people happy, and doing things that they like, that's something that's really special to me. So Queen Venetia, who did my thumbnail art for Book of Showtime, gave me quite a few things, and you know what? I'll do them all. So for top 5 underrated things, I can't really think of too many underrated things or things that I like that are considered underrated. I like a lot of things that are overlooked, like Time Splitters, but off the top of my head, I would say Brandon Nimmo, Coleslaw, Evil West, the number 14, and Fleece Material. You know, those are all great things, and they need love. For favorite game controller, I'd have to go with the Minecraft Pig controller for Xbox. Even though Xbox controllers like blow up after like a year of use, none of my Xbox controllers, I take care of them. They just wear out quick, you know. But my Piggy controller, I love it, and I'll never get rid of it. For best fruit, I would have to say your sister. Call me Amy. But no, seriously, I gotta go with oranges. Any type, really, like the small ones, the cuties, or, you know, just the regular ones, or, you know, you can chop them up. It's a great fruit. It's versatile. It's delicious. You know, you peel it. I like fruits that you peel. You know, it's just fun to peel fruit. And then you can make orange juice from oranges. You know, you can put them in a salad. It's a versatile fruit. It's a great fruit. It's like the everyman's fruit. You know, I'm gonna go out and say that oranges are the LeBron James of fruit. Weirdest dream, I can't say because this is still a PG-esque channel, but if you really want to know, I can tell you in DMs. Best food and movie combo. Let me tell you, I love going to the movies just for the food. When I go, I get nachos, pizza, chicken, a whole bunch of stuff, but nothing tops nachos and cheese. You have an excuse to get some nachos and cheese, you go for it. So my friend Tyler, who is such a class act and civil rights activist, wanted me to do basically my top 10 wrestlers, 5 male, 5 female. Number 5, Bayley. I watched her entire WWE career. You know, I was a hugger when she was back in NXT doing that. And, you know, it's funny. My friend Ben is a Sasha Banks fan. I was a Bayley fan. And those two, they had a rivalry. So that was a fun time to be friends with Ben. Number 4, Rhea Ripley, because, again, this is a PG channel, so I can't get too deep into this. But, no, I really like her strength and brutality, you know, and her aesthetic. She's awesome. Number 3, Bianca Belair, because of a black excellence. And similar to Rhea Ripley, I like the strength, I like the athleticism, and I think she's honestly, pound for pound, one of the strongest on the roster, male or female. Number 2, China, because simply, I don't gotta say much. She's an icon, you know, Hall of Famer, rest in peace, China. And number 1, Asuka, just because she is insanely awesome. Emphasis on the insanity part. She really embodies sports entertainment. She can go in the ring, but her character, she's always entertaining to watch. And now for my top 5 men wrestlers. Number 5, Ken Shamrock, because he has a sick presentation and has one of my favorite WWE themes of all time. Number 4, Shelton Benjamin, because, well, again, black excellence, but also because he was extremely underrated. You know, add him back to that underrated list that we talked about earlier. He can go up on there. We'll have 6 underrated things. But he always put on fantastic matches. He had some of the all-time great mid-card matches. Number 3, Sami Zayn, because he is the ultimate underdog. And seeing him main event WrestleMania Night 1 this year, that was so surreal, man. I never thought I would live to see the day. You always thought he had a mid-card ceiling, but, you know, to see him in the main event of the biggest show that WWE puts on, it was so cool to see. Number 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin, because Stone Cold, he just did not care. He was looking for hands with anybody 24/7, and is probably the most entertaining wrestler of all time. Just off his feud with Vince alone, that was a legendary time. And number 1, Christian, just because, like Asuka, he's awesome, he's hilarious, entertaining, and the kill switch is one of my favorite finishers of all time. And I also had his action figure growing up, and I might still have it somewhere around here, but I loved his action figure. It was my favorite one. My friend Renee asked, who is my favorite Resident Evil enemy and who is my favorite Dead by Daylight killer outside of the pig? For Resident Evil, it's the Hunter, of course. I love the Hunter's introduction in the original Resident Evil when he races through the mansion and then slowly walks up to you with those nails clacking on the floor. And that was an enemy that can kill you one hit too, so you have to be on point when fighting him. Plus, I love my Hunter Funko Pop so much. It's my best friend. As for Dead by Daylight Killer, I haven't played Killer in public matches in about 3 years, but when I did, I was indeed a pig main, which, now that I kind of say it all out loud, I love playing the pig. I have a pig controller and I'm Muslim, so something is a little up there. But I did enjoy, though, if it wasn't the pig, I did enjoy playing the Spirit. She was really fun, had a strong kit, and I think her lore and design is probably the best amongst the original killers in Dead by Daylight. FTI Studio says, if you had to expand or change up the formula to book a Showtime, what would you incorporate? Or maybe, do you have anything you'd like to try with it? Now, it's funny you ask. Back in January, I did record a mini podcast style video where I just reviewed major headlines, which I think 2 of the major headlines from that month, from January, were the Trevor Bauer suspension and the Damar Hamlin incident. And after I did that video, you know, I didn't really feel the energy from it, as I was still very sick at the time, but it was something that I might relaunch with maybe having a rotating guest on each time. We'll just go over news from the month. And I'm also looking at doing interviews in the future to help people promote their upcoming projects or just their content in general. So those are things that I'm looking at implementing to the channel at some point in the future. So like with Queen V, Spunky asked me a handful of questions and I will answer all of these too. So for fried chicken or vegan meats, first off, the vegan stuff is just trash. Unless you season a lot, like those grass burgers and stuff like that, it's just not good. I gotta go with fried chicken, man. I eat a ton of Popeyes. As for zombies, I got into zombies when I was around 3 or 4. My brother Weaver, he made my mom and I try Resident Evil 2, and the rest is history. I wasn't good at it, obviously, but as I've grown older, you know, I love the Call of Duty Zombies. I love Left 4 Dead 2. That is such an awesome game. And I always keep tabs on zombie games when they come out, though we really don't get a ton of high-quality AAA titles. Rest in power, George Romero. Next, will you ever go back to streaming? Streaming, that's probably easy no. My friends aren't going to like hearing this because, well, I did have a great time streaming and we had a ton of fun, and I'm forever thankful for all the support and memories that I had during streaming. It was a great period of my life. I still think that my overall streaming career, it is a borderline abject failure. I don't feel like the lows of streaming outweighed the highs. I don't mind appearing on other people's streams and doing things like that, but as far as me doing it solo, never say never, but I really don't see any scenario or timeline where I return to streaming. I know I left a lot on the table with streaming. There's a lot that I really wish I completed before I finished my career, but I just had to stop. Finally, when is Payday 3? Payday 3 releases on September 21st, 2023 for the PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and PC through Epic Game Store or Steam, and it will be available day 1 on Game Pass. And I will be there no matter what. I love, love, love Payday 2. It's an underrated game. Put it on the list. We have 7 underrated things now. It's such an underrated game, underrated model too, because they put out a game, they constantly added great quality of life content. It almost feels like they've put out Payday 3 and 4 with all the content and all the changes they made to the game since then. But, you know, I always keep Payday installed on my PC all the time. I'm always ready to move weight, bust open some vaults. Can my friends please play Payday with me? I don't have a screenshot of it, but my friend Dennis asked me in a call what was my favorite Easter egg in Call of Duty Zombies. It's hands down gotta be Pop Goes the Weasel from Black Ops 2's Mob of the Dead. We stated in the past that Black Ops 2 is pound for pound the best Call of Duty, and that Mob of the Dead is one of, if not the best Zombies maps in Call of Duty history. So it's not too much of a stretch that I think that the best Easter egg in Zombies is in the best Call of Duty game on the best Call of Duty Zombies map. I like the little side story that Mob of the Dead presented, and the showdown that you have to have against your friends at the end is really fun, and I don't think anything like that has been done in Zombies since. You know what, I think I might go play Mob of the Dead again soon, just for fun. It's a great map. So Brian says, talk about the greatest movie trilogies of all time. Now, I did ask to see if this was just 3 movies in the series, period, or a 3-movie stretch in the saga, because then you have series like the Bourne movies, John Wick, Star Wars, which technically has 3 trilogies, but by the time he responded, I had already thought about some fun trilogies. You got Rush Hour, come on, that's a legendary trilogy. My friends and I, we quote these movies all the time. We love watching the clips, we love watching the movies. You know, these are stone cold comedy classics. All 3 movies are great, and yeah, 3 gets a bad rap. Sure, it isn't as good as the first 2, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. My favorite out of all of these would have to be Rush Hour 2. The original Spider-Man trilogy with Raimi and Maguire, those movies are tremendous, and again, while the third is the weakest, I don't think it's a bad film. It's certainly a flawed film, but it's not a bad film. For favorite out of this trilogy, I'd have to say the first, because Willem Dafoe, he was a beast in the movie, and he did such a great job, and there's a little bit of that Sam Raimi horror slipped into the first Spider-Man too. And how about the Austin Powers trilogy? Those were some fun movies, and sadly Mike Myers destroyed his career as a lead from when he did The Love Guru, and the last 2 movies I've seen him in, Inglourious Basterds and Bohemian Rhapsody, he had like 5 minutes of screen time, so maybe the world has progressed past the need for Mike Myers. My favorite out of all of those movies would be Goldmember, which is the rare time where I think the 3rd movie is the best in a trilogy, though that's up for debate. Now, this next trilogy isn't a traditional trilogy, but all the movies are great, and I'm talking about the 3 Flavors Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. All 3 of these were tremendous parodies, and if I had to pick a favorite, I would say Hot Fuzz, which I know might surprise you guys because I love zombies, but I think Hot Fuzz, I just liked it a lot better than Shaun of the Dead. It certainly lends itself to multiple viewings more than Shaun of the Dead did for me. Now, what all these movies have in common, though, is that I actually watched all of them with Brian, some of these multiple times, and while we don't hang much anymore, watching movies with Brian during the pandemic years in 2020 and 2021, that was really nice, and that kind of made going through that stuff a lot easier. So my friend Ben says, top 5 wrestling finishers and top 5 Smash Bros characters that you like to play as. For wrestling, number 5, the super kick. I know it's overused these days. I'd probably say 1 in every 3 active wrestlers uses a super kick, but I love the super kick. I use it in every wrestling game where I can make a custom character, and I kind of like the striking finishers. You know, my striking finishers in 2K23 are the spinning back fist and the super kick. So I don't know, just like the finisher you can kind of hit at a drop of a dime. Number 4, the kill switch or the Unprettier. This is just a really cool move, and when it hits well, it looks outright brutal, and my favorite wrestler, Christian, uses it, so there's that. Number 3, the RKO. This is a move that its reputation precedes itself. You know, I don't need to sell you guys on the RKO. I really hope Randy Orton comes back, though, and hits an RKO on Rhea Ripley. That's when nature will begin to heal. The RKO should be on everyone's top 5 finisher list. It's the legendary move, and you can hit it on anyone at any time. Number 2, the Stone Cold Stunner. Basically, the same things I've said about the RKO apply here as well, but what gives the Stunner the edge in my book are the sell jobs we've seen from them, from Scott Hall to The Rock to Paul Heyman. The move is entertaining on both fronts. And number 1, this might surprise you guys, the One-Winged Angel. This might be a shocker because I really don't watch much of Kenny Omega's career. I never really talk about him much, but this is probably one of the more unique finishing moves in the industry. It looks really cool. It sounds cool. What more do you want in a finisher? As for my top 5 Smash players, you know, I'm going to cheat, and number 5, I'm going to say Vector Man from Project M. That mod is really awesome, and while I've never played a Vector Man game, which I read online that they're not good, he's really awesome to play in Smash, and he should legit be in Smash 5 if we get it. Number 4, Isabelle. I feel like such a troll when playing this character, setting the traps, using the fishing rod, pocketing people's projectiles, using the net. I don't even look to win when I'm playing Isabel. I just look to dilute everyone else's experience when I'm playing. So if I do wind up winning, just know that, you know, I wasn't even trying. And funny enough, I actually cosplayed Isabel back in 2020. Number 3, Bowser, or Moose as we call him. I just love being big and being bad as Bowser. And that kind of sounds corny, but he's just a fun, some of the big characters are just really fun to play. And that side smash dropkick is really satisfying to hit. It's almost as good as a Cosmic Brownie that's been microwaved for 16 seconds. What, you guys haven't had that? Go to the store right now, get the pack. It should be like $3 for a box. Microwave it, 16 seconds. It's delicious. It's awesome. Number 2, Steve, or Alex for me, because I use Alex. Who doesn't love Minecraft, right? Like, seriously though, who doesn't love Minecraft? Step up and out yourself so we can ridicule you. What I love is that they feel like they lifted Steve right out of Minecraft and dropped him in Smash. His kit is awesome, and throwing minecarts at people, that never gets old. Well, it does get old because, you know, eventually you do run out of material and then you're frantically trying to mine, and people don't forget when you throw minecarts at them. They tend to take that personally. Number 1, Samus. Samus, she has a very good kit. I feel like I can survive and fight at all ranges. She's my absolute main for when I really want to get a win. And between you and me, I've actually never beaten a Metroid. You know, I had to get my cousin to do it for me in Prime 2, as that game was a little confusing when I was younger, and it kind of scared me a little bit as a kid. I digress. Samus is really cool, and I remember back when my brother Weaver and I, we would play a lot of Smash 4, and even though his main was Bowser and mine was Luigi at the time, when I played Samus and he played Link, we were getting into some dog fights. Weaver would say it was Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose because we really wanted those wins and we were going at it. And finally, the man himself, who basically kickstarted Book of Showtime when he asked us if Steph Curry was the GOAT point guard, the legendary Weaver, my brother. Yes, which NBA players would you want to watch score 100 points? Firstly, LeBron James. I feel like that just goes without saying. LeBron James, he's the GOAT. He can score any way he wants to, and that would just be legendary to watch just on that merit alone. He's the all-time leading scorer, so why not just go ahead, drop 100, and take all the scoring records he can on the way out. Next, Jalen Brunson, he's another one. You know, he was the king of New York for a little bit, and even though I'm a Nets fan, unfortunately, something about what he was doing in the playoffs, he was really holding it down for New York. And if I want to see somebody score 100, it would have to be Jalen Brunson at the Garden. That would just, it writes itself. Lastly, Nikola Jokic. I think Jokic leapfrogged Giannis in the all-time debate last year, and his style is like, it's slow and fast at the same time. It doesn't even look like he's trying hard to do anything. The game just comes so easy to him, and for him to just kind of unconsciously just bust the box score, that would be hilarious to see. It would be as hilarious as it is legendary. Surprisingly, we haven't had anybody break 100 points. We've had Kobe come close, but I don't think we're going to get 100 points again. But these 3 players, LeBron, Jalen Brunson, and Nikola Jokic, I think those are the guys that I would love to see do it. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for a year of support. Again, it means a ton to me. This is a series I really enjoy doing, so if you guys, like I said, just keep giving me suggestions. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Make sure to join the Book of Showtime Discord. Share this video with your friends. I love you guys all. Thank you so much for the support. Again, inshallah, I will see you in the next chapter.